Hello, my name is Craig Mason from MIPIM. This is a new series called Property Influencers, where we talk to some of the top people in the real estate and property market. I'm here with Adrian Griffiths. He's an architect and director of Chapman, one of the world's leading architectural firms. They've got offices in 13 countries around the world. Welcome, Mr. Griffiths.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to MIPIM. Now, for those that aren't familiar with your company, just give us a brief overview of what Chapman does.
Okay, we're architects. We specialise in master planning. We cover the majority of the sectors. We're commercial architects. We're proud of the fact that we're commercial architects. We make money for our clients. We have 15 offices around the world, 2 in the UK, 13 mainly in Europe, Middle East, Far East. And the international side of the business has grown dramatically over the last 15 years. We are 52 years old as a business, and for the first 37 of those, it was purely UK, and now as a major step into Europe, and it's a very big part of our business.
How has the environment changed for you as a company in the last, particularly post-2008?
It's quite interesting to look at how the markets have been affected by what is a global downturn. I mean, the reality is we wanted to set ourselves up as an international business following the 80s recession in the UK, because we didn't want to be exposed by having all our eggs in one country. So spreading our risk around other countries and having the people within the business to take us into those other countries, it seemed to make sense. And what's interesting is that the majority of countries that we are working in have had to readdress themselves to cover for the downturn. The countries that have done better at the moment is China. That's still a growing market. India, a young company for us, is also growing. And for some reason, I'm not quite sure why, but Poland also seems to have missed this glitch. Other than that, as I say, I think it's fair to say that most of those countries that have had to adjust because of the downturn are seeing signs of improvement. So I think now at least we're looking in the right direction.
How do you guys approach managing risk and getting involved in projects that perhaps are considered a riskier proposition? Is that something that you have to actively get involved in managing, or as an architecture firm it's not so much an issue for you?
No, I think risk is always a very big part of our business, and especially when you're going into emerging markets or new markets. I mean, let's just talk about Libya for a moment. We were actively involved in Libya until 2 weeks ago. We had 4 projects on. We didn't have people on the ground in Libya at this stage. We were about to start putting people on the ground. There was a good potential fee income coming out of that country, but clearly, we've assumed that those projects won't go ahead, but we'll wait and see what happens. But again, as an international business, that is a market that we would consider to move forward in. But analysing risk there is something very difficult, because you couldn't quite predict what was going to happen.
If you could imagine cities of the future, how do you see them evolving, and how would you like to see cities evolving?
I think what's one important thing about Chapman is that master planning has always been sort of the bedrock of the practice. I mean, I'm an architect and an urban designer, and blending those two skills is fundamental to us. So we see cities as being very, very important aspects of everyone's lives, and actually growing our cities and making sure that they work as proper public places is hugely important. We believe in designing for culture and context. So each city in each location has its own factors that determine the sort of schemes that we will produce. In the UK, we very much believe in quality public realm, open streets, public spaces, individual buildings, appropriately designed, iconic buildings at the appropriate point, but not everywhere. So clearly the scheme has to be appropriate to that town or city that we design it in.
Now, we've been exploring the theme of rethink. If you had to rethink the property industry, where would you start? What parts do you think need to be rethought or should be rethought?
Well, that's a big question. I think there's an issue for the property profession at the moment whereby, especially in the UK and also in many parts of Europe, values in town and city centres got over-egged, and so to try and move schemes forward at the moment can be very, very difficult because it's very hard to make schemes stack up financially, and of course, you know, it has to be viable for our clients, otherwise schemes will not move forward. So I think at some point there has to be a rebalancing of the real values, which allows us then to move forward with schemes that are appropriate for that location. And I think in some respects it's about not trying to overcomplicate things, and I'm not going to say go back to basics, but start off with the simple fundamentals that work. So, naturally ventilated buildings where you can, buildings of local materials where it makes sense, buildings that are designed so that they do work with the solar gain, so that buildings benefit from the movement of the sun, the orientation of the spaces. It's the simple bits that actually make schemes work in the most simplistic way. I think our challenge as architects is to try and encourage people to come out and enjoy their environment. So I think town and city centres have to offer alternatives. So they have to offer, I think retail is still going to be very important moving forward. Leisure, again, hugely important. Eating out, restaurants, the cultural facilities. So all of the facilities that you can't really get from the internet. And we need to work with our environments to make sure that our town and city centres can really offer the people what they want to bring them out.
How is this event valuable to your business, and what value does it bring?
Well, Chapman Taylor have been to every single MIPIM. In fact, we've had a stand at every single MIPIM, and when we first came to MIPIM, we didn't have any offices overseas. We were obviously starting to look at international work. As I already said, we now have some 13 offices outside the UK, and they're all well-established offices of their own, which we own ourselves. We haven't acquired them. We have grown those offices on the back of winning work in these countries. And I honestly do believe that we have achieved that by attending conferences like MIPIM, where we do put ourselves out here. It is the only way, really, of meeting new clients and new people from which you can do business with. And so we are now committed to making sure that our presence is still seen out there. We have a very strong brand now. It is internationally recognised, and MIPIM and other events like mapping, of course, have a lot to do with that.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate that.
All right, thank you very much
indeed.
indeed.
You enjoy the rest of your time at MIPIM.
I'm sure I will. Thank you.